Now for a quick segment from our sponsor, Opera GX. Now have you ever thought about having an internet browser equivalent of an RBG graphics card? Well, Opera GX is the browser for you. Now I've been using it for a few weeks and I can honestly say it is one of the best, if not the overall best browser I've used for anything. Now not only can you customize it so your experience is exactly how you want it, but there's also so many great intertwined apps to use, such as the built-in CPU and RAM modifier, the Twitch integration, as well as the Spotify YouTube player integration. Everything you need is here in one browser, and honestly it's pretty much the best web browser I've used. Now me and Opera have teamed up to give you guys this information, as I do game in bits and bobs, and well, I feel like you guys deserve an ultra gaming browser for use. Now guys, all you need to do is just go and download Opera and write a comment section with a hashtag installGX in the comment section down below. Tell me what your favorite games are, as well as I will be responding to comments with this hashtag. Now let's get back into the video. Now if you're going to enjoy this video, click that like button down below and don't forget to subscribe for some more Assassin's Creed content. Also stay till the end of the video for an update on my big May giveaway. You really want to stay tuned for that. But without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Now this one at number 10 is it's neither here or there, and that is because at number 10 we have Uberto Alberti. Now you may remember him from the first AC game we saw Ezio in Assassin's Creed 2, and the start of it is fairly intense, and Uberto is at the crux of it all. Now of course he betrayed the Auditore family because the Medici bank evicted him from his home. Now as part of his revenge, he tried to kill the entire Auditore family, succeeding with everyone except for Ezio. Now his reasoning behind this was he wanted to protect his family. Now if you go back through all the games, all the extra media, you'll realize that the Medici were using him. They threatened him. He did this to protect his family, something all of the assassins know about. All they want to do, especially Ezio, is protect his family, and he will do anything to do so, which we can admit is something of a good cause. You're trying to protect your family, so you'll do anything, do it. At number 9 we have William Johnson. Now there's no debating that the way William Johnson went about things made him a villain, especially due to his connection to the Templars. His role was to acquire the native lands and give them to the Templars, something he always tried to do with little bloodshed as possible. That said, he was also trying to subjugate them, so he wasn't some do-gooder either. What he was right about though was the fact that the colonists would eventually be a danger to the natives, and in his own way he was trying to protect the natives, and he wanted to. Was he a bad guy? Yes, but what were his views on protecting the people? Something to think about. Up next is a fan favorite at number 8, and it's of course Haytham Kenway. Now above everything else, all he wanted was order and direction. Now as far as antagonists go, few in Assassin's Creed actually match up to the greatness of Haytham Kenway. He had so much more depth than a typical Templar leader, wanting more than just the ruling of the world like a megalomaniac. He even had an honor code to him, testing the fact that Braddock would freely kill innocents, despite them both being on the same side. In the end, all he ever wanted to give order to was the world. It's what made him an equally interesting protagonist in Road and an antagonist in AC3. Now I'm glad we got some books, some extra media, and Rogue to actually delve into his character more, as I felt like he was underutilized in AC3. Now we know from previous games and excluding media that Haytham was actually taken from his father by the Templars and brought up as one, and the fact that he does have an honor code to him, you don't kill the innocents, something that assassins even live by, is something to go off. I feel like Haytham is one of the characters that most of us can somehow relate to, and just of course he is the best antagonist throughout all of AC. He just is. He's one of the best. At number 7 we have Shay Patrick Cormac, and now he cared more about the safety of the world than selfish desires. Now unlike other Templars, Shay never cared about controlling the world, nor was he a zealot in his beliefs towards the Templars. While he agreed with some of their goals, his main purpose in joining them was stopping his former mentor, Achilles Davenport, and the rest of the assassins that followed him. He feared that the earthquakes caused by Achilles and his men when they found ancient sites that were better left undisturbed. As with Haytham, he is one more well-rounded villains, and I'm glad we got Rogue. We saw that the assassins, yes, they're trying to give people free will, but at the end of the day, they're gonna do what the Templars do and do anything to get what they want. Templars Templars want stability, control. Shay more than anyone, he saw what the assassins were doing and he went out to stop them. Now of course not all the assassins were like this, but what Shay saw he had to stop. Now number 6, we have a lesser known character that goes by Davidson, and he only wanted his freedom. Now Assassin's Creed Liberation often gets lost among the sea of titles the series has, but it tells a good story with Aveline as much of her past slowly comes back to haunt her. One such part of that past was Davidson, a man who was saved by Aveline's mother and doctored into the Templar faith. George never much cared about any of that. The only thing that was on his mind was his freedom, and if that meant working for the Templars, then so be it. Now this is something obviously I can't talk about, but let's just think about it. You get inducted into this group of people and your only way to survive in the world is by staying a part of this group, and you'll do whatever they say because you don't want to die, and I guess when your life is on the line, you'll do anything to stay alive. Up next we have Fiora Cavazza, and she was a classic case of a street rat just trying to be something more. Now while many villains have grand designs for themselves, Fiora had a simple goal in mind, and that was making a name for herself. Now she wanted to get out of being a courtesan to become something more than someone who worked in a brothel. Now she's a classic case of a street rat type character trying to make something of themselves, making her acts more palatable since she was more of a victim of her circumstance than having evil on her mind, as most Templars too. Now some of you won't remember her, but she was from the Assassin's Creed multiplayer side of the series. Now there was a bunch of characters that were Templars, assassins, or just normal people that you could play as, and well, it kind of added something more to the game. They all had different backstories and different tales to tell, and she for one had the most exciting. Now number 4, we have Francois Thomasgermain, and he was right in his assertion that someone else would pick up where he left off. Now if the Assassin's Creed games have taught anything, it's that there is no shortage of assassins and Templars to fill the void in the age-old conflict between the two factions. While Germain's goals were anything but right, his assertion that someone else would replace him was dead on the money. There was always going to be another, and not just because he was a sage, there was always going to be someone out there that would thirst for power, willing to do whatever it took to get it, which was true. Now remember, this list is about villains that were right, and of course this should be at the number 1. Throughout the history of Assassin's Creed, there is always someone ready to take the mantle of either Grand Templar or Master Assassin. Now this is always the case, and for once the Templars were right. At number 3 we have Maximilien de Robespierre, and he was in favour of societal reform in France. Now the story of Assassin's Creed Unity had a lot of potential given the conflict it centered around. Maximilien is one of those types of antagonists who could have shined had the game been a bit more polished on its release. Instead, his character is often forgotten despite how well spoken and fervent his character was. He had a sense of zealotry towards getting societal reform to spread throughout France, tearing down the old monarch. Now as we know, France during this time was a sea of battle. You had one side, you had the other, similar to the Assassin versus Templar, and the fact that, you know, he was on the side of tearing down the old monarchy was good, but of course he's a Templar, so it was going against everything the Assassin stood for, and it was for his own gain. At number 2 we have Manuel Paligolos, and he wanted to bring peace and order to the world, kinda similar to Shay. Now peace and order is a recurring theme with many of the Templars, but few ever believe in the peace portion of that state. They merely wanted control of everything, bringing order through tyranny. Manuel was one of those few that believed in peace, that bringing back the former Byzantine Empire would help bring it through the land. To him, there could never be any peace if there was always war over who ruled rock. Now, this is where things start to get a bit tricky. He wanted peace and order. He wanted everyone to live peacefully, but his ways about getting it through to people was very, very wrong. I mean, who wants to be ruled over? No one. And at number 1, we have Liam Obrien, and he wanted to do right by his family, and of course was a victim of circumstance. Now his role in Assassin's Creed Rogue wasn't as big as it should have been given his connection to Shay, but it did a good enough job of painting him as a man who only wanted to do right by his family. Liam stole only so he could help take care of his sick mother, or to rightfully distribute the wealth of his employers to the unpaid staff. Nothing he did was ever at all that wrong either. He was merely a victim of circumstance in Shay's crusade to stop Achilles. Now guys and girls, let's go on to my giveaway. Now from now up until the end of March, I'll be doing a giveaway for the Wrath of the Druids DLC for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Now all you need to do for a chance of winning, and this is on any platform, is like the video down below, comment your favourite villain from any AC game. Also make sure you you are subscribed, because it's a subscriber only giveaway. Now, I hope you all have enjoyed this video. If you have, again, comment down below who your favorite villain is. Also, make sure you subscribe, like the video. I hope you all have an amazing day, and I'll see you in the next video.